Well, it's definitely official. Our mayor of New York City, Mayor Mamdani, is a traitor to the United States of America. Now, let's do some history. Mr. Mamdani emigrated here from Uganda when he was a child. I think it's about 7 years old. He's a Muslim, but he's more than just a Muslim. He's a jihadist. He's a Hamas sympathizer, and he's a radical. So, and he's an Islamist. So, the difference between an Islamist and a regular practicing Muslim is the Islamists see it as a political governing ideal, whereas practicing Muslims do it as individuals, and Islamists, they do it or they practice Islam as a requirement of the state. Or something like that. I'm not an expert. I'm not going to pretend to be. But what I do know is that they're dangerous. Their rhetoric is anti-American, and their threats are real. So why do I call Mamdani a traitor? Well, right after my last video about Mamdani trying to set up a backdoor channel of communication with the ambassador to Iran during wartime, and this was just, remember, a couple of weeks ago. Right on the heels of that, instead of him considering maybe not sticking his nose where it doesn't belong, he decided to double down and then start to threaten to arrest Prime Minister Netanyahu when he comes to the United Nations meetings in September in New York City. Now, Mamdani said that he's been saying he wants to do this for a long time. Ever since he was campaigning, he's been saying this. His reasoning is that Netanyahu is a war criminal based on his defense of Israel against Hamas. So he promised to have Netanyahu arrested because Netanyahu has a unenforceable warrant placed on him by the international courts, criminal courts, I believe they're called, the ICC. The United States of America and Israel are not signatories to this agreement, so it's completely unenforceable on United States soil. I don't know who Mamdani's been talking to since he's been in office. And I don't know if he's just like saying he wants to do this and that he's going to do this just to rile up his base, which is probably plays a large role in why he's saying this. Because he has to know, or somebody on his legal team has to be telling him, you don't have any sort of legal authority to go against the federal government when it comes to arresting heads of state. I mean, play in your playground. Stay in your lane, Mamdani. He don't have any authority to do that. So as backlash started to build with the very mention of him saying he was going to do that, he came out yet again and backtracked and said, after reconsideration or whatever, he's not going to arrest Netanyahu after all. Now, the reason why I find that so appalling is because we have allyship with Israel. And as long as that allyship exists, I'm going to respect it because that's what my government requires of me, right? So, anybody who would suggest that they're going to try to go as far as arresting a head of state on American soil because of their political differences is way out of line, like way, way out of line. So Mamdani, like I said, I consider that to be treasonous and traitorous behavior, especially since the United States and Israel are fighting a war against Iran. So for an American citizen and an elected official to say that he's going to go against the partnership that we have and execute his own form of justice is preposterous, actually. So I think this is a combination of trolling, trying to rile up his really radical, anti-American, radical left that hates America, that hates this country. He just keeps throwing red meat out at him, knowing he can't do most of the things. He literally has no authority to do this. But he says he's going to meet with ambassadors he has no business meeting with. He's going to arrest heads of state. I mean, it's like this man doesn't quite understand what his boundaries are, what his limitations of power are. They stop at every border, at every borough of this city. So I consider him to be a clear and present threat to our nation. He's part of, he's actually looking like the head or, one of the figureheads of this socialist movement. And this needs to be so the thing that I find most threatening about Mamdani's behavior is that people are underestimating, in my opinion, not everybody, a lot of people are speaking out against this anti-America, this socialist, communist agenda that he's slowly trying to keep in. Somebody has showed a few clips of some people from throughout history, like Mao Zedong, I think Stalin, maybe Lenin, some of your more notable socialist, Marxist people who enforce socialism on their governments. And one of their slogans was about getting rid of individualism and doing things for the collective and doing things for collectivism. And that's what this psychopath Mamdani had said on his inauguration day. I didn't like the sound of it then, and as looking into it further, yeah, this is worse than it sounds, and far worse. And we're headed for a really pivotal moment. People have to stay aware and pay attention. Don't underestimate what Mamdani is capable of. You're already seeing the rise of socialism in Islam that is trying to weave its influence into too many pockets of our society. And we are not, as Americans, going to sit here and watch foreigners take over our country like they're doing in England. I mean, like they're doing in England and other parts of Europe. But Mamdani is so, he's so disingenuous about his true intentions that I'm surprised people are not being more vocal. Really, I'm surprised he's still in office, is what I'm trying to say. I thought when things are this obvious, something has to be done immediately, right? But how I view the threat and how the higher-ups in government view it, I don't know. I think that the higher up you go, when you get to the White House, I think there are people talking to the president that's saying, yeah, you're going to do something about this, but when we can get the most political points and political momentum from it, the biggest political bounce. So headed into the midterms, I think that the strategy is to let these guys, give them enough rope. And I'm not just talking about Mamdani, I'm talking about this whole clan of socialist communists that, otherwise known as the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. That's who's doing all of this. That's one faction of the threats from inside of this country. But the DSA represents groups. There's a lot of groups under that umbrella that have declared their intentions to overthrow our government, to overthrow what they call the empire. These people are sick, and they don't understand, or maybe we're underestimating them, some people, and I feel like they're underestimating a lot of us at the same time, because they think that we won't physically defend our country. They think that we're like Europe now. And we will defend it by any means necessary. So I hope you jihadists out there understand that, and you socialists, and you communists who think that you're going to change our capitalist-free society into a society where, like with the third world societies that you come from, the dictatorships and the communist totalitarian systems that you grew up under. The American people are not going to stand for that. I'm looking at how this effort to, I mean, you have people that are running for office or have already won a primary openly discussing how they want to bring in more immigrants so that they can get positions in government to change the global influence of America in the negative, meaning reduce our influence around the globe. That's seditious talk, folks. That's subversive language, folks. But yeah, Mamdani, I've been calling it, and a lot of people have been calling it, but I feel like the things that I've been saying about Mamdani over the last couple of months really summarize the threat, what his motives are, and how he's going to continue to go about smiling in our faces and then sticking the knife right in our backs and in our rib cages, okay? So pay attention. We got to get this guy out of office. We got to get these liberals out of office, all of them. Because they're not even liberals anymore. They are full-on socialist communists. Because like I said, and in my last video, or one of my other videos, you got to go socialist first before you can go full commie. So the fact that they're admitting socialists and then they act like, oh yeah, it's going to be great. No, that always leads to communism. Look at history. You have a group of people who have been in college for 12 and 15, 12, 15 years, earning double degrees and all of this, never had a real job, and they're being propped up as the new leadership of America. How can people with no actual life experience lead this country and tell grown adults what we're going to do? So a lot of people are questioning Mamdani's loyalty right now. A lot of us, fingers crossed, are hoping he's being investigated, at least now. If he wasn't being criminally investigated for the ambassador to the Iran thing, I mean, come on. What's it going to take? The man was threatening to arrest a head of state, one of our closest allies. Like I said, this is me being loyal to our country now. You got to set aside your own personal political views when order has to be implemented. The chain of command is in effect. You just got to respect it. But Mamdani and his ilk are they're full of so much hate for this country that they can't take it anymore. They want to attack. See, yeah, that's what it is. They want to attack this country so bad that they can barely stand it anymore. So they're being so vocal about what they want to do, and they want to say that they want to be elected into office to do these things rather than try to do some type of violent coup or some type of violent overthrow. But I wouldn't put it past these people at all, the jihadists, the anarchists, there's a lot of groups coming together to conspire to overthrow this country. Now, guess what? All you have to do to be a proponent of the overthrow of this country is be in favor of open borders. That's it. That's all it takes. Because whether you declare this a socialist country or not, if you just open the borders and tell everybody in the world, if you can make it here, you could be just come in and we'll take care of you for the rest of your life. That's socialism, whether or not you call it that or not. So that one policy that they want to implement so bad. Because let's remember, the Trump administration has shut down the border completely. In cybersecurity terms, that border is our number one vulnerability, right? It's a huge vulnerability And what was the solution for remediation of that vulnerability? Close it. It's open, people come in illegally. They don't belong here. Close it, lock it down, they don't come in. Open it back up, tell everybody that they can come in, they'll come in and they will destroy this country. They don't need to do anything else but open the borders to totally destroy this country. Because they're telling people with nothing to offer this country to come here and just feast on the flesh. Don't worry about it, we'll tax the rich. Everybody's gonna eat as a collective. This is what these sick people are saying. And they really think that they're gonna they really think that we're just gonna fall in line once they start telling us to go wait on bread lines to get food and stuff. We'll just wait, we'll just go, yeah, no problem. You standing in line on a bread line, you're an American, your people have been here for generations. And in front of you is some person from God only knows where. Somewhere in Asia, some underdeveloped country in Asia, Africa, Europe. Basically, they would have us waiting in line for bread with foreign invaders. Foreigners from all over the world. Picture that. Picture that. That's their agenda. Flood just think about this for a second. We're not even talking about some type of increase in the amount of people that they let in. We are talking about an open-ended, non-stop, no end in sight policy of just letting people come in till you can see nothing but miles and miles and miles of people just as far as the eye can see from the southern border down all the way into the country up. If that makes sense. Just a flood of people. That's what the policies of these socialists is. And like I said, that's the only thing you really need to do to completely destroy this country. But they want to make sure that they utterly destroy this country, so they don't want to just stop there with open borders. They want to abolish law and order, prison, which when you look at how, no matter how a society is structured, you're always going to have people that are going to be acting out, won't follow the rules, and have to be removed from society because dangers that they pose, right? It's just a fact of existence. But they think they have a way of abolishing law and order, which means police, courts in the system, and bringing about some other form of order. Because, like I said, it's all about the order. If you don't have order, you don't have a society. People have to get that through their head. Order is priority, number one. Who could argue against that? Why are people arguing against order versus chaos? But you have anarchists. You have, I don't really know the numbers, but yeah, I'm going to look into that. There are anarchists everywhere There's probably a lot of them. So the anarchist movement is one group of people, the Islamists, the jihadists, the illegals. Because we got to remember, they try to paint these illegals as these innocent, set upon, helpless foreigners that we have to just open our homes and our hearts to. When the truth is, if these illegals are not actively committing crimes in some type of crime ring or some form of street crime, you think that the ones that work in industry aren't criminals too? Everybody's in on the grift. So everybody from your kingpins down to your cleaner ladies are all part of this unspoken agreement to screw over America. That's the bottom line. Mamdani is a facilitator of these efforts by these groups, and they're trying to see, when you think like myself and others, you look at the threat, where it's coming from, and where it's likely, what it's likely to attack, right? So the fact that there's these different groups, they all have an objective. You know, they're all here to take down a certain pillar of society, one of our standards. That's the objective, so that they can knock it out here, knock it out there, attack from different sides, and hopefully they intend to, you know, they don't want to have a president, a senate. These are all the people that Mamdani represents. That's why I keep saying about all of this, because there's a lot on these people's agenda that have nothing to do with prosperity, getting money, capitalism, getting to a bag. They think they know how to live better than us in our own country. So I really hope that other people of color don't get duped into supporting any of this. I already see Mamdani has support from a lot of younger people of color, and I'm shaking my head like, how can you be this ignorant? Take your ass to work your job, and stop looking at Mamdani like he's going to give you everything you ever dreamed of. The type of progress these people want to see is destructive to our way of life. They want us living in tent cities, just living in squalor. Look at where these people come from. They want to have laundry hanging out the windows as far as the eye can see. So this whole movement has to be crushed. America First needs to focus on these people, these threats. And there's a lot of patriots out there who are coming together and definitely ready to push back against this agenda. I see it right here in New York. when you got our guys, our service members getting together, waving the flag, marching, letting these people know, hey, this is our country and this is our way of life, and you're not changing it. But getting back to what I was saying about why these people are still here, even though they are explicitly telling you that their intentions are bad, yeah, I'm thinking that something probably is going to take place before the midterms. And when I mean something, I mean a serious roundup of these subversives, these insurgents. Because remember, the insurgent wing is the ones that are out there protesting against ICE, protesting against our own safety. You're protesting against the safety of the people, the citizens of this country, to protect the illegals, the non-citizens, the people who have no lawful permission to be in this country. So you want to abolish ICE to protect them while simultaneously exposing the American people to danger and a threat to safety, because we don't know when the next time one of these illegal savages is going to strike. So we got to get them all out, because we don't need to be taking chances. Why the hell would I take a chance with my life or the life of a loved one so they can come and get a better life? And just want a better life. Well, there's a line for a better life, so get in it. I think I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks for listening. And remember, I don't get on here just to talk about things that I'm not passionate about, and I don't really have a true opinion about. Like, I feel strongly about what's happening in this country. I don't like it. Like I said, I'm an older man now, and there's no country better than this. I've learned that over the years. When you're young, you complain about a lot of things. You don't like this, you don't like that. But if you don't change it, when you don't like it, later on you'll get used to it. And then you'll realize it wasn't never that bad in the first place. So I speak what's on my mind, because it's always flies, right? I speak what's on my mind because I don't like the fact that a lot of these leftists, these far radical lefts, far left, they get in these big platforms to spread their poisonous ideas on social media, on legacy media. They're everywhere. And they're spreading falsehoods and half-truths, right? So I feel compelled to use these airwaves in a responsible way to push back on all of this tsunami of anti-American, anti-United States propaganda that's being pushed out there. I'm gonna push back. So this is not any kind of gimmick. But this is only one area that I'm passionate about. You might see me move over to other topics, but I'm not doing it because of an algorithm. I'm doing it because this is also information I want to get out. I will speak on things taking place in the entertainment industry. I've been moving around the entertainment industry for over 30 years. I'm heavily tapped into that area, to that section of entertainment and culture and technology. So I'm gonna be hitting different topics, but right now, this is the red flag. The political environment can have a direct effect on your life if you don't pay attention and stay involved. Okay, so with that, I'm going to end this conversation. If you can, leave a comment. Let's exchange ideas. And if you agree or disagree with what I'm saying, that's fine. Put it in the comments, let me know. And subscribers, I'm always looking for people to subscribe to the channel. And if you like the content, show it by hitting the like button if you don't mind. I appreciate it. Thank you, and I'll talk to you later.